This is Feed Your Mind. So it looks like the Artemis program is not going too well with the general public because it's just raising more and more questions. People all over the internet are questioning the moon landing now, and they're very skeptical of what they've seen and witnessed with this Artemis program. I believe the Artemis program was probably designed to dispel these rumors, but instead it's having the opposite effect on the general public. And so let's go over some of the clips that are going viral online. And so if you want to catch up on my previous videos on the Artemis, I'll leave a playlist link in the comment section and description box. In this video, we're going to cover much more discrepancies when it comes to this Artemis moon trip. And so we're going to start this video off with what looks to be one of the Artemis astronauts. And he's having this interview and he's coming clean and saying that this is the first time we're going to send humans to the moon. And not only that, but he's also saying this is the first time humans have entered low Earth orbit.
It might land wrong, but I'm going to try anyway. This is the first time we're going to send humans to the moon, and we're going to have humans in low Earth orbit. That is awesome. Like, we should, as humanity, we should take a brief moment to go, that's awesome. One of the things that we most asked for and look forward to is we are going to do a crew conference between Integrity and the International Space Station, the crew that's up there.
And so we've seen statements like this before. This is another blooper that we've caught where we're catching these astronauts saying that this is the first time they're sending humans to the moon and low Earth orbit. So the thing is, with low Earth orbit, that's basically, to me, just high altitude, because I estimate the first layer of the firmament to be somewhere around 100 miles up in the air. So I believe that when astronauts are saying they're going to low Earth orbit, they're basically just going high altitude. They might not even be doing that sometimes. Sometimes they're probably just in a green room. But if anything, they're maybe getting somewhere up there about possibly 30 miles up or something like that in some type of aircraft device. And so let's go on to the next clip. This next clip I'm going to share with you is about this escape pod. So I did a video on this a couple weeks back where I showed you in the early 80s, it looks like, or the late 70s or something, they had this news special where they were showing these escape pods where the astronauts can slide down to safety in case of emergency. I was questioning if this is what they're using all the time though. So anytime you see a rocket launch, you might see the astronauts have this publicized walk onto the rocket craft, and then you see the rocket take off. But with this escape pod being there, I was saying that it's most likely that these astronauts are simply putting on a show for the public where they walk up to this rocket, make it look like they're jumping on, but really they're just escaping through this escape tunnel. And so with this Artemis trip, people have found a suspicious zip line. So they might be using zip lines now instead of escape slide tunnels. And so with this zip line footage, you're going to see what appears to be a zip line escaping from the rocket as the rocket's taking off. Check this out.
Of Artemis 2 now bound for the moon. Humanity's next.
Look. Yup, that is exactly what you think it is. A zip line taking the astronauts off of the rocket right before it goes up and flies straight up and then down and lands in the ocean because they're not actually going to space.
2, 1, booster ignition, and liftoff. The crew of Artemis 2.
Here, you can see it directly behind the tower at this point in time. Might be 2 cable cars. Watch.
Now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
And again.
Liftoff. The crew of Artemis 2 now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
And once more coming back out.
And liftoff. The crew of Artemis 2 now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
Now, from what I've seen regarding Artemis 2 so far, has been terrible. I would have thought they were going to go overboard to try and prove this, if it was really happening.
And so this isn't too surprising that they're not putting astronauts on these rockets, is what it appears is going on here, because yeah, why would you put a human being on an explosive like this? You definitely would not risk that. So it looks like all of the astronauts escaped on this cable line car to safety, where they would be putting on a performance on the green screen for the rest of the duration of the moon trip, to have things floating around with augmented reality, trying to convince the public that they are in outer space. And so the next clip I'm going to share with you is a couple things. The first thing we're going to see is Eric Dubé showing us how they have a shot of the moon that's very tiny. And so this picture was taken when they were halfway to the moon. So why would the moon be smaller instead of larger? Because in this picture, you're going to see the moon is smaller than anyone has ever seen the moon.
How about this one, allegedly showing the moon from Artemis 2? Why is the moon much smaller here in outer space than it is on Earth? I have never seen the moon that small, and yet NASA claims this picture was taken by the Artemis crew halfway from Earth to the moon.
So that doesn't make sense. Why would the moon be this small in a picture? And so in this next segment, we're going to see how AI detectors, including ChatGPT, has detected that the pictures from the Artemis trip are not real and they're AI generated images.
The reality is, these are not real photographs. In fact, you can take these new images just released from NASA and run them through an advanced AI filter to check for authenticity and see for yourself. These images do not even pass AI scans for authenticity and are all coming back as confirmed CGI images. People honestly should be able to discern for themselves that these Earth images are clearly CGI, but if you don't trust your own discernment, even AI is telling you that these are not real. From ChatGPT, quote, "This is very likely AI generated or heavily composited. The window frame is unusually thick and irregular, with soft, almost melted looking edges. Real spacecraft windows would be more engineered and consistent. The satellite outside is oddly placed and slightly stylized. Scale and lighting don't quite match orbital photography. The lighting on Earth and the interior frame feels cinematic rather than physically consistent, especially the glow and reflections. The composition is too clean and centered for typical handheld astronaut photography. Also, look at the bright hot spot of sunlight shining at one specific point of Earth. If the sun's light is transferring through 93 million miles of space to reach the Earth, shouldn't it be lit uniformly if that was the case? Why would there be a single bright spot as if being lit locally?"
It says this image is a high-quality digital creation, not an authentic space photograph. While masterfully composed and highly realistic at first glance, multiple technical indicators betray its synthetic origin. It is heavily inspired but does not match the iconic 8 Earthrise photograph, which is the one it's talking about here. So we know that this one is potentially fake because Apollo did not leave Earth orbit, because we have them faking being halfway to the moon. So this is a composite from 2 pictures from a probe or from an unmanned probe, but it doesn't match. Part of the AI's decision is that it's assuming the Apollo 8 picture is real, and the current one doesn't match. It could mean they're actually, there, and the Apollo picture is fake, or they're both fake, but something doesn't line up. The AI specifically says that this one is fake.
And so Eric Dubé and Bart Sibrel have ran these photographs through the AI detector. And so what we're seeing is that AI detectors have determined that these pictures are not real. And so I have a couple more segments I'm going to share with you before we get out of here. Let's cover the firmament being discussed on what looks to be Newsmax TV, where this news anchor is talking about the firmament cannot be penetrated and that there's different levels and layers of the firmament. I discussed this in detail in some of my previous videos, so I found this very interesting that he was actually bringing this up on a live Newsmax broadcast. Check this out.
The firmament, it can't be penetrated. So there's different levels of heaven. That's why they call it outer space, not space. Within the firmament is space. There is heaven. We fly in the heavens on a plane. But then there's a higher heaven. heaven. That's why God, the Heavenly Father, is called the Most High, because there's levels to this.
Yeah, it's certainly.
So you didn't know you were hearing all of
And so I have one final clip I'm going to share with you before we get out of here. And that's going to be with Buzz Aldrin, where he's explaining that he did not go to the moon. Well, at least it appears that's what he's saying, because he was being asked in an interview what was the scariest moment of his moon journey, and he's saying that, well, it didn't happen. Now, this isn't the clip that you think it's going to be. This is a newer clip, it looks like, where he's actually saying the same thing again. So the first clip that went viral was some years ago, where he said a similar thing to a elementary student. But this clip appears to be a newer clip where it looks like he's in some type of interview where he's saying the same thing, where someone from the audience asked the question, what was the scariest moment of his moon journey? And he's saying, well, it didn't happen.
What was the scariest moment of the journey?
Scariest. It didn't happen. It could have been scary. Certainly.
For the record, do you think that we didn't walk on the moon?
I don't think we did. I think it was fake.
And so that's a very strange way to say that it wasn't scary. I mean, if someone asks, hey, was that scary? Who is going to say, well, no, it didn't happen? You would say, no, it wasn't scary, you know? If you weren't scared, you would just say it wasn't scary. I don't know. The way he answered that question is just another blooper from Buzz Aldrin, one of many. If you want to see all of his bloopers, I have more clips on my testimony playlist where I compiled a lot of stuff like that. So I'll leave a few links in the comment section and description box if you want to get caught up. But really check out my Artemis playlist. I think you're going to find a lot of interesting things there in case you might have missed my previous videos. And if you want to check out my members only videos, I'll leave a link for that as well. You can become a YouTube member on this channel for as little as $1 and you'll gain access to all of my members only videos. I'm also going to leave a link to my Feed Your Mind store, my social media links, my free email newsletters, and much more. Let's get over 500 likes on this video. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you for tuning in. This has been Feed Your Mind signing off.